All right, so everyone, I want to speak to you today about Black illness in the Black community. Black illness. Mental illness in the Black community, okay? At this point, we're not starting over, I'm sorry. Mental illness in the Black community. Wait, go ahead and hit the button. If I was to come to you and say, hey, you have an upper respiratory infection, would you say that you're sick?
Of course.
Yes? All right. Well, what if I came to you and said that you have ADHD? Would you also feel that you're sick?
No.
A lot of Black people feel the same way in the Black community, right? So you have to be able to see that your brain is susceptible to illness, just as though your lung is susceptible to having pneumonia. Mental illness is common even with the Black community. So what is mental illness? It is a health condition that is a change in either your emotion, your behavior, or even your thought process. So today we're going to speak, hit the button, Lily, mental health, hit the button, Lily. So today we're going to discuss the secrecy of mental illness in the Black community. We're also going to discuss your faith in comparison to getting an actual doctor. And then we're going to say when should you seek help? You know, what happens when you should actually seek help? Hit the button, Lily. So my first thing is normally whenever you're in a Black person's household, the first thing that happens when you run out your mama's house door is, bet not nobody know about my business in my household. Now, I don't know about y'all. I still hear that today, and I don't even live with her, okay? But that's okay. You know, we can keep certain things in our home. But at what point is it okay to discuss when something's not right mentally? So, did you know that the U.S. Department of Health and Human Resources advised that 20% of African Americans will experience psychological distress, major depression, anxiety, PTSD. I mean, these are just a few, and more so than non-Hispanic whites. So let me give you a story really quickly. So when I was in 6th grade, I had a friend. He was a sweet kid, straight A student, very popular actually. Everyone liked him. 7th grade comes, everybody seems to want to make their own friends, right? Everybody kind of drifts apart. But that's common for 7th grade. Well, this same kid had a rumor started going around about him that he had kissed a boy. I started to see him as he started becoming lonely at school, more withdrawn. His grades started to drop. Then he started to skip because he was trying to get away from the bullies. Until one day I came to school, true story by the way, and over the announcements, they advised that this kid killed himself the night before. Hung himself. His mom found him in a closet. Depression is real, whether he's white or Black. And yes, this young man was Black. We have to be able to discuss it and talk about it because it's real. Now, one thing that is a big joke is when we listen on TV, first thing everyone says is, do Black people go to doctors? Do they go to therapy? No, we go to church. we don't go to doctors, we go to church, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with going to church and having religion, and that's based upon your faith. But the same time that you pray to God and you understand that you're asking Him for healing hands, for the doctor that checks your heart, for the doctor that helps you with your cancer, for the doctor that helps you with the bunion on your foot, you should be able to have that same faith for a doctor who has done all this study and this research for your brain. Because your brain is an organ just like the rest of the organs in your body. So there's a doctor, her name is Dr. Jo Bradford. And just to summarize a quote she stated, she simply said, if we use faith as a reason to say, hey, I think this may be the reason I have mental illness because I didn't go to church today. I have mental illness because I sinned. These aren't true. It's something that can overcome you and become sick just like anything else. You're not punished to get mental illness. You're not punished. So my next thing is, when do you go to the doctor? 6 signs, right? 6 signs, your coping methods. Talking to your friend, is that no longer helpful? Talking to your sister, your brothers, are those no longer helpful? Is your unhappiness outweighing your happiness at this time? Has crisis struck? Marital issues. Someone died in the family. Sabotaging yourself. Not someone else, your own self. Are you becoming into a negative pattern with yourself? Have symptoms started to develop? That's a whole nother subject, symptoms. What are the symptoms? Are you sad? Hit the button, baby. Are you sad? Are your mood changes? Are you having extreme highs, extreme lows? Are you withdrawn? Insomnia, can't seem to find yourself to get any sleep? Anger, your sex drive depreciating? These are just a few, okay? There's several. At what point in time do we seek help? If any of these signs are starting to become more apparent to you, I would say seek help. Speak to someone. What's the harm in speaking to someone who is unbiased to your situation? They don't know what's going on. They're not there to judge. They're there to listen. So today we talked about mental illness in the Black community and why it's a secret, your faith in comparison to doctors, and the actual signs. I want us all to get help if that's needed. If it's not you, a family member. You know, there was this one quote that I read by J. Chris, and it said, to share your weakness is to make yourself vulnerable. To make yourself vulnerable is to show your strength. So let's show our strength. Let's end the stigma. Let's make sure that we're helping us or our family, because you're not healthy until your mind is healthy. That's it.
Well, very good.